back to another episode. Hope you're having a good day today. Thank you for joining me on another episode. We're starting things off today here in the gold farm, and the reason for that is because we are making quite significant progress in the piglin bartering farm. However, somehow during the process of building the piglin bartering farm, I lost a box of gold blocks. So you might remember back from the video before, there was a box that I showed before I started building that had lots of gold in it. I lost it all somehow, somewhere. So I decided to do a little AFK session at the gold farm and grab a whole bunch more. Now, all of that went well. You can see from my levels, everything is looking nice. Everything's looking good. There is one slight problem, however. You might look at this box here and say, oh, this was a nice, successful AFK session. You got a whole bunch of golden nuggets that you can craft into gold ingots. And look, I've even got 2 shulker boxes of gold ingots. So everything's looking good, right? Well, not really, because for 452 levels, I should have a lot more gold. But for some reason, something got stuck in the system as I left it AFK for 8.5 hours last night. And yeah, the shulker box didn't fill up and all the items ended up getting destroyed in the overflowing lava. Was I sad? Yeah, obviously. Think about it. Did all that, I left my computer on all night, all that electricity gone to waste for no reason. But you know what? We're not going to be salty about it. Instead, we're just going to go ahead and get on with our work today. But like I said, we're starting by crafting up all of these gold nuggets into ingots. And then we're going to put them all into gold blocks and we'll add that into our little deposit of gold. You can see over here, I've got some gold that I had left over from previous AFK sessions. So I've sorted all that out now. And yeah, everything's looking good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to craft up all these gold nuggets, and I've also got these gold ingots here, which I'm going to craft up into gold blocks. We'll put everything into blocks, into our little box to take away, and then we'll go into the piglin bartering farm and get the little update. You know, no matter how many times I use this, I always seem to find it really entertaining and really cool to look at. So it's always a good time crafting up gold ingots, especially when it's this easy. Look at this. From nuggets to ingots within seconds. Shulker boxes taken care of, ready to be redistributed back into the system. I'm making a new box here that's going to be nicely packed away once it's full of gold ingots. Honestly, it's automation at its finest. Simple, effective, good looking. I could even make this a lot easier and a lot more quicker if I wanted to use Tweakaroo to its fullest of abilities. But I find Tweakaroo sometimes can be a bit too much further away from vanilla. And so it feels kind of unfair to do it that way sometimes. Okay, with our fruits of our labor now looking good, I'm kind of back to where I was with the box that I lost, which is still very sad, and I, RIP that box. But that seems like a good amount to get the piglin bartering farm up and running and, kind of running at full capacity a little bit. I've been a little bit stingy with certain things in the bartering farm, so I think it's time to loosen those pockets a little bit and see how it goes. So as you can see here, we've made some significant progress in the bartering farm, especially from last time. The minecarts have now taken care of their duties. They've filled up most of the droppers, and this one's still running. I think I've messed something up here. I think I've cut off like a redstone signal or something. So I need to get that corrected, which I'll do in a minute. But other than that, what you can see that I've done in the room is I've added the power switch for the bartering. I'll be labeling that up so it actually looks like what it should be. And then this is the power for the piston pushers and for the dropper clocks. Now, the reason why I ended up separating this, if you don't know from my other video, is that once the trading is done, there is generally quite a lot of items still left into the droppers. And if you don't let them empty out, then they're just going to be stuck in there, and then it's going to be a mess next time you start the farm up again. And you're missing out on all those precious resources that you kind of paid for, really, right? So I decided the best thing to do was to split it up, and now I have the system separated. And what I can do is whenever I'm like finished watering, I'll leave it running for a couple seconds, switch it off, and then I can go. You don't need to leave it running for too long anyway, so it's not too bad of an issue. The other thing to come and have a look at down here is that all of the shulker storage is now done, and I'm gonna be honest with you, now that I've done this, I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit thinking, why didn't I give a full shulker storage system to things like this? a bit of a waste of my time to have put a shulker storage system in for this item here, for example. Even stuff like iron nuggets, like they're not really that useful to me, so I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I could have just kept them in a double chest and then just disposed of everything else. But here we are being OP and stuff for no reason. So you can see here in most of the droppers are full of all of the shulker boxes that those items are going to need. So something like gravel's been given an excess amount of shulker box. Same goes for stuff like blackstone and nether quartz, and I gave quite a few to like obsidian and crying obsidian as well, and especially nether brick, because you end up needing quite a lot of this just to make even a few. So I ended up using quite a few on those, and then things I don't really need too much of, like for example the nuggets. I don't think I gave, yeah, so I only filled up the dispenser full of shulker boxes. I didn't use any of the droppers or anything for this. The next step of this project is to get all this gold into the system, fix the minecart that seems to not come to a halt for any reason. I don't know why, it seems to be stuck on a crazy loop again. Oh, look who it is, my old friend the piglin. You are a real pain in my butt, mate. So anyway, now that we've got this rude guy out of the way, we're going to go ahead and load up this gold. Actually, before I do that, really quickly, let's go ahead and check out what the issue is with this system here, because the first hopper should now be full and this should have stopped, but it hasn't, so I am concerned. Ah, there we go. So let's do ourselves a little favor. Let's take out a block, a stack of these, fill that up, and that should shut the system off. That's perfect. Now all we have to do really quickly is make sure the rest of these hoppers are random item free. Yep, so all the hoppers are looking good. There's no more distractions or things in the way of these hoppers. So now what we can do is just block all this up. Go ahead and lock the hopper minecart in, because it is gonna get knocked over by a bloody zombified piglin. They keep getting stuck into the system and destroying the system one way or another, so we're gonna have to take care of that business first. Right, we're gonna empty up my inventory so we can get all the gold ingots that we can possibly get into my inventory. Okay, that's chest number 1 completely full, and that is chest number 2 completely full, and we've still got some gold left over. But don't get it twisted for 1 second, this is going to end up being an issue eventually anyway, because once these chests are empty, we are going to need way more stuff. So without further ado, let's keep the farm running. It's going to officially be running in its like 100% version, which means shulker system and full on everything should be working. So we're going to run a little test, make sure everything's good, and yeah, I'll be back with a progress update. Alright, so the system is up and running. I have put some indicators in for the sorting system and the bartering system, because even though everything's obviously well known right now, I'm sure after a couple of non-uses, a few days away from here, I'll probably forget everything that I need to know about how it runs. So I've just ended up setting this part up over here, and yeah, everything seems to be running good now. I think at this point the only thing left to do is to take care of cosmetics, so anything visual that needs to be taken care of is probably next. The issue is I'm going to need a lot more blackstone to be converted into smooth blackstone, I think it is, and then I'm going to need some nether brick too to go with the build. We are using some bone blocks, but I think that's going to be kind of limited a little bit. And but yeah, so we're going to try and let some of this stuff gather up first. We're going to let them get their trades on, and then we'll be back once we get a significant amount of items. You can see already it's taken up a lot of gold ingots just from the little bit of trading it's done so far. So I think I'm going to end up spending many hours AFKing at the gold farm. It was kind of expected at this point. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what, it's going to be once this thing's up and running, and I do need lots of stuff, because I want to get lots of stuff like kind of stored as well. I don't want to really keep coming back and forth for items and then having to run the system again. So ideally what I'm going to do is maybe do another AFK session overnight tonight, you know, try and not ruin it with the chickens getting stuck in the system. But yeah, once we do that and we get that all sorted, that should be nice and easy to continue keep this place kind of stocked up basically. So I think what I'm going to do now, actually really quickly, whilst I got some time and I'm letting these guys do their trades, I'm going to go ahead and bring the ceiling down a little bit more, or bring the ceiling up should I say, That will just give us a little bit more leeway for this room, just to have a little bit more of a design choice if we want to do it. And then obviously if I'm feeling to keep it nice and small, I can always just keep it small, because we're actually going to need like a downstairs part as well, because we're going to put the storage separate for all of it. I was going to have all the shulker boxes transported upwards, but because we've got this storage here as well, all the extra items, they're going to need a little home for themselves, so we're going to have to figure that one out as well. So I noticed that we've already started getting our first few shulker boxes of items coming through. You can see the spectral arrows is we've got one shulker box there. We've got one for blackstone, sorry, which actually should be enough to get us started on the whole building situation. I think the next thing to do is to start bringing all the stuff forward. So we're going to need to bring all of the shulker boxes into one centralized location, which is probably going to be in this little location here. So I'm going to cover up most of the shulker boxes. There'll be more of like a backdoor access kind of thing, as opposed to like everything being completely exposed and looking kind of weird. So yeah, we'll be let me do a little bit more work with that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just came back down again after like 10 or 15 minutes to check what the update was, and blackstone seems to be something you get a lot of out of piglin trading. It seems quite unequal to other things that you get. I've got 2 boxes of the arrows now, and I've also got 2 boxes of gravel. But that seems so disproportionate considering the other stuff. Obsidian seems to be one you don't get too much of, which is kind of disappointing, but you know, I'm not too worried about that. I did want to use this as a form to get a bunch of obsidian so I could build a mega gold farm, but unfortunately it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. So I think we're just going to end up sticking with the gold farm we currently have. But when we do end up getting enough of these, once we do that, I think we're going to have some good fun with the overworld portal farm. I've got an idea of how we can use the XP that we get from there on like an AFK ice farm or something would be ideally the situation. So yeah, we're going to see if we can do something about that. So I'm going to go ahead and take all the blackstone that we have just accumulated. I'm going to go and gather some blocks together, and I'm going to see what we can make. And then I think it's time for a little time lapse, to be honest. I haven't done a time lapse in a couple episodes, I think. I love me a time lapse. I don't really know what I'm going to do with the design, so I think a time lapse probably works best, because I can just kind of freeball it and, you know, put in and out whatever I don't want in here. So enjoy the mega time lapse, I guess. I think I know what you're thinking. Well, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well done. That wasn't exactly the mega time lapse we were expecting, was it? Well, no. You see, it was supposed to be. Unfortunately, something must have happened with the saving of the file, and now I don't have any other part of the build except for this one. So, change your plans. Hope you enjoyed that short time lapse instead. And instead, what you're going to get is talking. Yay! I know how everyone loves talking, don't they? This will give me a good opportunity to give you a little bit more of an idea of why I did certain things, and I think this might actually work out better. So let's get started. Now, what you are going to see here is a completely done room. I just thought I'd mention that because there's no like, oh, there's carrying on. Maybe there'll be some touching up in the future, but as it stands right now, this is the actual room complete. And also, I thought I'd mention I've cleaned up my inventory and my shulker box too. So everything in here is a relevant item and not just some random crap that I've had. Something I spent last night doing, so I went to sleep at like 2 AM. It was worth every moment. However, without further ado, the bartering dungeon. So you can see here, very strange and interesting design choice. What I ended up doing was just ended up using a lot of the blackstone related blocks. And the reason for that is because ideally what I wanted this to be was sort of like a slightly altered bastion. So the idea, obviously, the piglins generally live in bastions. So this is their new home that has been taken over and redesigned almost. And this isn't cribs, just FYI. I didn't come in there and pimp out their place. But yeah, it was an interesting design choice, and I thought, you know what, it goes really well because eventually this nether hub is going to be like a culmination of all the different biomes in the nether. And you can see this kind of fits nicely into the little bastion in the corner, and I really like where I ended up placing it because it was almost tucked away in the back. And once this place is looking full and has all the design in here, I think it's going to look really nice having this just sitting in the background over there. Let's take a little look inside. Now, I just want to mention that I ended up actually putting a door here, not because I needed a door, but because these guys keep coming inside and they keep jumping into the system and finding new places to go. So now we have piglin security, although I'm sure a couple have spawned inside already, so let's see how that goes. So we've got a nice little double door just to let us in. You can see I've continued using the design and the entrance of the piglin farm, and the piglin farm looks, I think you got a good idea of how it looked through the time lapse I just showed you. So now you're just seeing kind of like a more in-depth look on how everything looks. Somehow we have managed to get a piglin in here again. I think I need to either put light on top of those or put some carpet. I think carpet might be a good idea, so they can't spawn on there. But luckily everything else is mob proof. And yep, you can see I've got these switches, changed those up a little bit, got rid of a lot of the bone block. The bone block didn't really give it its individuality, which is what I was looking for with the switches. And yeah, I threw some grey concrete in there as well because I thought it was nice. It goes really well as like mixing in a few blocks here and there, and really accentuates the walls specifically that I wanted to kind of stand out when you walked in. I really like the entrance as well. I was kind of freeballing, well, I freeballed everything here, but I was kind of just like throwing things together as I kind of made the double piston door. But yeah, I think it all looks really good, and yeah, I'm quite happy with the entrance. So you can see everything in here is pretty straightforward. The piglins are still where they should be. All the redstone is directly underneath us, and I put the entrance to these. I ended up making them with like slabs because these guys kept climbing in, and they still managed to climb in. But it's cool. It looks all nice and neat now. I put the gold up here as storage, anything I'm not using, and yeah, I just went ahead and did the same thing on that side too. So this is the main hall to the piglin bartering farm, kind of like, you know, you get the gist of it. The main thing to show you, which you didn't have a look at, was the storage system. Now the storage system, let's check it out. I was going to try and give you an explanation, but why do that when it's literally down these stairs here? And just FYI, I don't agree with using ladders. I think they're horrendous and shouldn't be going into any build. But I didn't have much space and I couldn't be bothered at the time, so yeah, ladder. Although considering I get ender pearls from this, I'm just going to use that. I think I'm going to store some ender pearls here to kind of just dash up there when I want to get back up. First thing you'll notice is obviously the little soul sand images thingies. So I've put soul sand all underneath here just so I can run around this little back room really nice and easy. You can see I've given all of the shulker box storage their input chests, so now everything is kind of ready to go, really. You can see I don't need to do any more work going forward. All the items will be delivered into the chest over here. The only thing I'm going to eventually need to add is a back door. So I'm going to need to add like a piston door or something where I can get into the back storage area just to refill all the shulker boxes. Although for now, I think the shulker boxes should last me many AFK sessions. So I'm not totally worried about that. So I think for now, we're happy with this kind of part of the storage. When the time comes to fill up the shulker boxes, then I'll worry about that then. So if we come into the back room over here, you can see I continued the bone block and blackstone, polished blackstone design into this room too. So over here we have the overflow chest, which I've kind of organized. So I've got all the soul speed books that I got and all the fire resistance and splash fire resistance. So besides those things, I ended up just kind of trashing everything else. The ender pearls I've kept in my ender chest, which is, you know, there's a significant amount that came out of those. This is every single ender pearl that came out of it, including these. And so yeah, I don't think I'll ever need an ender pearl farm, but I might make a wither rose farm in the future, which will kind of cover both anyway. You can see here I placed lava down. So if I basically don't want an item, I'll show you on like a resistance potion. I'll just press G, it'll hit the chest and then just end up getting burned in the lava. So finally we've got our shulker box system here. Essentially it's just a shulker filler. I did actually realize I didn't need to make one of these over here because I'm never going to be feeding shulker boxes of anything into the system. I'm just going to need to pack away stuff like ender pearls or like a bunch of potions if I ever need them. But this was actually kind of unnecessary. Only this module needed to be made. But hey, we've got a nice little working system here. And the last thing I thought I'd mention is the lighting in this room. I do have to be honest, walls have made like a significant change into building. Even for someone as noobish as myself, mostly because you can kind of put like hidden lighting in between stuff. So you can see here I've chose to go glowstone all the way around, and that keeps the room nicely lit and doesn't actually interfere too much with like needing to have to put it underground with carpets on top, or having to put it into the walls and ceilings and stuff. So yeah, I think it's all really good, all nice and discreet, and I think this room is looking great. But I'd love to hear what you guys think too. If you got any suggestions or anything you change, or if you want to just give me a little bit of hype, please make sure you do so in the comments down below. So I think that's enough of this project for today. I'm sure we're going to be making some stop-offs to the farm at some point later on during the series, so we will make a return, especially when we're doing the nether hub. So in the meantime, we're going to call this project a complete wrap, and we now move on to a whole new situation. I know it's always farm after farm after farm, and there's always something moving in our world, right? Because this project here, which you saw at the beginning of this episode, it's all nicely done, and there's no more real landscaping to do in the grass department. At least we do have a lot more projects to do in terms of landscaping around here and how the world is actually going to look, but we're going to need a lot more resources to get other things going. One of the things is bone meal, and another of them is saplings, for example, but that's not a big issue. But the bone meal, that's definitely going to be a thing that we're going to need to take care of very soon. And I do have a double skeleton spawner, which covers us a little bit for now, but there is actually one more way of getting bones that kind of covers two other aspects. One of the other aspects is coal, and because I'm due to build a mega smelter soon, coal is going to be something we need a whole lot of. So the third item you've probably already figured out, which I'm going to get from this farm, from the first two that I already ran through with you, is going to be wither skulls. You see, wither skulls are just one of those things that I don't ever think I can get enough of. Beacons are so useful for multiple situations, and I think it's finally time we at least get started. It is a wither skeleton farm. I know oh crap. No. Anyway, before we were rudely interrupted, we were talking about with the skeleton farm project. So, as I mentioned, the idea is to just at least get started on the project. We're going to basically go on the roof of the nether, of course, because it's about 2,000 blocks in the nether away. Luckily, it's only one direction. I did a little bit of checking to see if I could do that specifically, and I did find out that I can. There was one specific location I believe is going to be in that direction. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab the coordinates. I'm gonna go and grab some items that I can kind of make a hole in the bedrock with once we get to that side, and I'm gonna repair up my tools, because this is gonna be a long and difficult journey, and I think what we're gonna need to do is set up a kind of mini base on that side, because there's gonna be a lot of resources that we're going to end up taking back from there, because we're going to end up doing so much digging. So I want to have like a little storage system going over there, just a little mini thing, just a little temporary base. Once I've set all that up, I'm going to catch you on that side. I don't want to bore you with stuff like collecting, repairing my tools, flying over to the location, breaking a hole in the bedrock. Let's skip all that. And instead, we'll just cut straight to our temporary base. You can see here, I've just gone ahead and set up a little shelter for us. Nothing too fancy, quite unnecessary if you ask me, but I thought I was kind of just in the mood of whacking a few blocks together and making things look cool. So we've got ourselves a little hut that should be completely spawn proof. both inside and out. The roof is on bottom half slabs, and the floor over here is on carpet, although there's bedrock under here anyway, so that shouldn't matter. I've put a carpet on top of the only spawnable block that we should have on here. Chest should be good, and the shulker should be good too. As you can see, I've made a little hole in the bedrock already. Well, I actually did this first, and then built this place around it. But you can see we've scoped out our little location, and we are definitely in the right place. Things are looking mighty frightening down there, if I'm honest. And when I say frightening, I don't mean scary monsters. I mean frightening in terms of how much work I'm going to have to do. Because the only thing scary about Minecraft sometimes is your imagination. How deep you want to go with certain things. And in this case, it's probably going to require quite a bit of work. So I haven't quite made the final decision on what the skeleton farm is going to be. Whether it's just going to be me mob spawn proofing certain parts of the land around me, or if I'm going to almost manually remove most of the blocks, or kind of remove most of the blocks and then run a TNT duper over everything. I haven't really decided yet. And in fact, it's probably better that way anyway, because at the moment it means I need to do less work and think about what I need to do. For any of those who are wondering, the reason my nether brick is black is because I have a resource pack on from Vanilla Tweaks that gives you black nether brick instead of red. And to be honest with you, I prefer it this way anyway. I'm not a huge fan of the red nether brick, especially when you've got warped nether brick, which is also red. Doesn't make any sense. I'll tell you what really doesn't make any sense. Why this episode is still going on, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. And I think that's probably a good reason to probably end it. Because if I don't know why the episode's going on, then I think we've gone too far. Now, I have made significant progress in the skeleton farm area. But you know what? I'm gonna leave you guys there. I want you guys to join me on the next episode. And we're going to show you the significant progress we've made down here. And we're going to have a little bit more fun with another project that kind of coincides with this. I did actually mention it at some point in this video earlier too, so if you're paying attention you might know. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.